A man lies in a bathtub filled with ice, ready to take his own life. He dumped the world's most venomous jellyfish. Just get a bite from it. People die. The man held out his arms without fear. Watched the jellyfish bite their arms hard. The toxins spread instantly. His whole body twitched in pain, grasping the shower curtain with instinctive force. The pain did not abate. He was torturing and he was convulsing. And yet soon, highly toxic and circulate throughout that body. And the man finally stopped breathing. His last words are by the bathtub. Don't touch jellyfish. Get me to the hospital immediately. Give my heart to Emily. It was all his plan, including dying in the most painful way possible. It was his punishment for himself. The man's name is Tom. Went out with his wife a year ago. Tom was driving because he checked his phone. Collided with the passenger train on the other side. Except for him, the 6 passengers included Tom's wife. A total of 7 people were tragically killed, despite the judge's acquittal. But Tom never stopped blaming himself. If you're not looking at your phone, then it wouldn't have happened. 7 lives and their respective families suffer forever for your own sake. He can't forgive himself, in a hell of pain every day. Finally, he had a plan. Before committing suicide, he needs to find 7 people who need help. Give away your own organs. The first candidate was a blind man. He works in telemarketing. Tom got through to the phone.
Are you blind?
Excuse me?
You're kidding me. A blind beef salesman who doesn't eat meat.
Listen, I'm trying to help you, sir.
You're trying to help me? The blind beef salesman is trying to help me. I'm actually starting to feel pretty bad for you, Ezra. Do you even know what color the ocean is? Do you?
It's blue, sir.
It's blue, sir. Say what you want to say. React. Say what you want to say to me. Coward. You coward. You blind vegan beef salesman virgin coward. Say what you want to say.
Tom just wanted to piss him off, to see if the other person is worthy of their help. He smashed the stool angrily, repeating the 7 names on the list. That is the object of his choice to help. After hours, the blind man came to the market to play the piano. The I cannot see. He loved the world in other ways. Touch the performance with your fingers. Listen with your ears. Tom on the side was moved. Immediately after, the blind man came to the restaurant. Tom's sharp discovery. The blind man has a soft spot for the waitress. He immediately went up to talk to him. Encourage blind people to ask girls out.
You gonna ask her out? The waitress.
No.
You never know.
Oh. I don't think she sees me.
Look at this kind man. Tom had a decision in his mind. He's in need of his own help. The woman's name is Emily. Is next in line. She needs a heart. Tom continued to observe in secret, but he didn't expect to be found. Knowing that Emily had a medical problem, ran up a high debt. He immediately pretended to be a tax investigator. Long-term harassment by debt collectors. Emily immediately lost her countenance. She left without saying anything. To investigate, Tom still took the initiative to find the door, but it didn't occur to him. The appearance of Emily to completely disrupt his own plan, the development of the relationship, and it gradually deviated from his vision. The man made a suicide plan. He needs to find 7 people who need help to give away his organs in order to redeem himself. Day 2, Tom came to the door, apologized to Amy for the bad attitude, and walked her dog. Even helped her pay off her debt. Looking at a man who helps himself pro bono, Emily was both strange and moved. Slowly, my heart began to move. Sensing the feelings of their partner, Tom immediately distanced himself. He's finally going to donate her heart. It's not good for them to have feelings. The names on the list are decided one by one. Tom went on with his plan to kill himself. This is a kind PE teacher, suffering from renal failure. He was loath to spend money to cure himself, but he's been raising money, helped 2 poor children go to college. Tom took the initiative to find him, donated one of his own kidneys. However, he's just recovered from the operation. He came to the hospital again. This time it was a little boy with a bald head. Because of leukemia, multiple chemotherapy treatments cost him his hair. The physical and mental pain is even greater. But to reassure their parents, the boy in the hospital bed was still smiling optimistically. Tom was impressed again. Donated bone marrow for the boy. The procedure was incredibly difficult. When he walks out of the hospital, is already weak and unsteady on its feet. But Tom was at peace with himself. After killing 7 innocent people, pain is both a deserved deserved punishment, and the only proof that I'm alive. At the same time, Emily fainted in front of her house. Her heart is failing faster, but it's a rare blood type. A matching heart was never found. Got a call from Emily. Tom heard the despair of the other side. He couldn't hurt her. Tom kept comforting her. Get to the hospital immediately. Wait till we get to the ward. Emily had fallen asleep, looking at a woman suffering from illness. Tom didn't leave with a soft heart. Instead, I stayed with her one night. Day 2, the doctor came solemnly to the ward. Emily's situation was worse than expected. If we can't find another heart, she's got a month, tops.
Would you stay? Unless you have something else to do. I'd really like it if you stayed.
Looking at the lonely Emily, Tom could not push her away anymore. In the days to come, he's always around her. Reach out as much as you can, with the day and night, and Tom is aware of it. He's in love with Emily. She made herself feel alive again, to ignite a passion for life. Though I want to live with her forever, but he knows, because of a heart, they were destined for nothing. He broke down and went to the doctor, with the last glimmer of hope, asking about Emily's condition. If we can't get a transplant, her chances of survival. The doctor's answer made him realize reality. Only 3% want to grow old with her. If it's not meant to, it's enough to keep her alive. Tom was relieved. He made up his mind to call his friend.
Dan, it's time. I love you.
Man before committing suicide called the hospital ahead of schedule.
Suicide.
Who's the victim?
I am.
Leave your last words. Let the paramedics donate the heart to Emily. He settled into the bathtub and release a highly venomous jellyfish. The toxins in the jellyfish are deadly, but it won't hurt the organs. Can punish oneself in the most painful way. You can also donate your organs. He's going to save 7 people to atone for the 7 lives lost. After an excruciating spasm, Tom stopped twitching. The doctors who had arrived were taken to the hospital. To comply with his omission, the doctor removed his heart, gave it to Emily. She was wheeled into the operating room, but Emily wouldn't know. Next to the heart donor, you're the one who's gone. The surgery was a success. Emily has regained her life, but she's lost. Tom is gone. Until this day, Tom's good friend came to his door. She just found out the whole truth. After a car accident that killed 7 people, Tom began to plan for atonement. He gave himself half his lungs. Half of his liver was donated to the old man. Found a blind man who loved life. He donated his cornea, and a little boy with leukemia. Tom provided the marrow, replacing the PE teacher's kidneys, giving a big house to a poor single mother. Finally, he took the most precious heart left to his beloved Emily. Emily broke down in tears. Imagine Tom's despair and loneliness. He had lost all hope of life, but he always encouraged himself to be brave. In the park, the blind man who has regained his light is playing the piano. Look into the familiar eyes. Emily could not speak.
You must be Emily.
Tom is determined to die, saved 7 lives, but he chose to die for himself. But as the poster says, he looked through his eyes, saw his heart beating in her body. Tom is just in another form, to live longer in this world.